What's good, YouTube? You let know it's your boy D back at the game here with another reaction video. How you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a blessed and a wonderful day. I'm back at the game, bro. If you haven't like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. So guys, someone sent me this link in my Instagram to react to this video. I don't actually know what the video is all about, what is inside the video, or. So I'm back at again to react. So in this video, I will share with you guys my reaction and my observation. I don't really know how the video is. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. And for those of you guys that come across to this channel in this video, I would like to take a moment to welcome you guys all. I upload videos every day. If you like the content and as well the channel, consider subscribing and turn on the notification bell. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Don't forget my reaction and my observation I will share with you guys.
You wake up to a neighboring tribe rampaging through your village. They have weapons that you can't understand. You can't fight back. They murder your elders, shackle together the rest, and march them towards the coast. On that walk, your sister will die. When you get there, you will never see your family again. There at the coast, there are boats waiting with men who you can't understand. They have a different language, a different culture, and yet they own you. As you get on that ship, they put you below deck and stack you like cordwood. Your neighbor dies, they pull him out and throw him to the sharks. After weeks of waiting, you finally arrive in your new island prison home. There, you'll die. Your children will die. But before they've worked you to death on that plantation, they are going to force you to learn a new language. Their language. They're going to force you to take on a new culture, their culture, or they'll whip you. But most of all, you're going to learn to love.
First of all, who are they? He keeps saying they. I'm trying to figure out who he's referring to they. I wonder why he keeps saying they. But later we find out.
Of a new God, their God. This is not the story of slavery. This is the story of Rastafarianism, of inequality, the fire where new religions are forged. I'm not meant to understand Rastafarianism. Despite the fact that as a young man I made the very regrettable decision of growing dreadlocks, it isn't a religion for me. The experiences it details aren't mine. My family immigrated to the New World intentionally. We could read the Bible in our own language. We could come to the culture on our own terms. My family could have farms, we could have shops, we could even have one of our progeny become an important national icon. Certainly, we had our hardships, but our struggle was mostly against nature, not man. And because of this, our religion was primarily against nature as well. Prayers were saved for harvest time and meals. Church was too far from the farm, so it lost its importance in the routine.
Okay, hold on. I need to sip some water. Let's continue.
Those of my family that sustained their beliefs through the generations did so with confidence that their God viewed them as most important. Their farm was the center of the world and nobody was around to tell them otherwise. But for a slave in Jamaica or the American interior, God was not theirs to hold. Belief was fundamental, required even, but they were never going to be the center of anything, the most important beings. The preachers who could read the holy words weren't reading for the sake of slaves. They presided over a congregation black bodies couldn't join. God spoke a language it would take them years to learn. They simply weren't the most important beings. They may have been God's children, but they weren't the firstborn. They would never inherit the family.
Hey, what's up? Do you want to learn digital marketing for free? Then I'm going to give you digital marketing
Family farm. Generations passed, and while slavery was outlawed and the world changed, the center never shifted. Oppressive laws, cultural practices, and organizations sprung up to replace what had come before. Black people across the Americas, despite being ostensibly free, were undeniably second-class citizens, even to their God. By now, most newly freed slave families would have a firm belief in Christianity, but their savior was still painted as a white man. Their God still did not believe them to be firstborn. And in this backdrop, new religions began to emerge. Those that could still remember the beliefs of their forefathers attempted to reconcile the rift by adding African voices to the otherwise European cacophony. Black preachers, now literate, began to turn a gospel of their own. In the southern parts of the African continent, a concept called Ethiopianism was born, and it would spread across the world. It believed primarily in the idea of Africa for Africans. In many ways, it mirrored the racism that birthed it into the world, but without the cultural and military superiority to back it up. This wasn't a religion of unity, just as it hadn't been born from a religion of unity. It was a religion of racial superiority. And while they still believed in the God of their invaders, his ever-loving gaze would now look first to black faces. They would inherit the earth as promised. And in that world of upheaval, a man was born in Jamaica named Marcus Garvey. He was intelligent, he was educated, and he was mad as hell. For everything else he was, though, Garvey was an undeniable racist. He was a black supremacist and best understood the world through the lens of race war. His response to being raised as a second-class citizen was not to fight for equalization, but separation. In a liberated Africa, he proposed, black men could be free to rule as they pleased, to achieve on their own merits, to conquer, subjugate, and oppress other races as had been done to them. He didn't have the same dream as Martin Luther King Jr. He dreamed of segregation. And to this end, he would continue the work of white racists in populating the American colony of Liberia, starting an ocean liner meant to bring back as many black Americans to the African continent as possible. The goal was to be separate, but it was certainly not to be equal. And although these words of division stabbed me and probably many of you like a dagger, much like the Rastafarianism that would branch from them, they were never really meant for me. He was speaking to the black people once enslaved in the Americas, and it was in those populations where some people began to heed his call. Especially among the lowest class communities, hearing that they may someday be truly free, in charge, and the center of both God and man's attention couldn't be overstated. They weren't concerned if it was the same form of racism, only with their race at the helm. They were the underdog, and the underdog is always waiting for its day. Garvey's ideology became a prophecy, and soon he began to be treated as a prophet. Those that practiced the new religion now claim that in 1920, a pseudo-religious Garvey instructed his followers to, quote, "Look to Africa, where a black king will be crowned. He will be your redeemer." And although he almost certainly never said those words, their meaning had long since been believed. 10 years later, HAILE SELASSIE, otherwise known as Rastafari, the Lion of Judah, a man who could claim his lineage back to Solomon, was named emperor. To many, this was the prophecy come true. The fact that it had happened in Ethiopia only further confirmed it. It was the birthplace of African Christianity, Zion. For his own part, Garvey was no supporter of Selassie. To him, he was a coward for running from Italian invasion. To him, the fact that the slave trade still existed in Ethiopia showed what a sham his Pan-African ideals truly were. The fact that he spent more time with American and European dignitaries over those from African and black nations was near traitorous. But to the true believers, the coronation of Haile Selassie meant the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. His expulsion by fascist Italy and subsequent return only furthered their beliefs. He was the prodigal king, and he would be the unifier of all Africans, the next coming of Jesus. No pressure, though. All across the working class regions of Jamaica, black supremacist preachers began to speak the gospel of Ethiopia, of Rastafari. Somewhat ironically, Haile Selassie didn't agree. He was no god in his own mind. In an interview with a Canadian journalist asking specifically if he believed that he was Jesus, he said that he privately told the Jamaicans, "I am man, I am mortal, and I shall be replaced by the oncoming generation." And while he was no doubt happy for the international support and notoriety, he had no interest in uniting black people. He certainly didn't want an influx of thousands of poor Jamaicans into his already splintered and impoverished empire. To his followers in the Caribbean, he may have been a uniter of men, but in the home country to many, he was just another imperialist, an emperor. Those that rebelled against his rule were met with military might and ethnic cleansing. But the religion was not born to truth. It was born in response to a lack of truth. Oppression had led to the creation of Rastafarianism, and oppression helped to spread. As preachers began to speak of Selassie as the true ruler of the black race, nervous British overseers cracked down. Marijuana became a more prominent enemy of the state, as it was now directly associated with the violence of rebellious Rastas. In the wake of newly sustained oppression, some Rastafarians heeded the call that started everything and moved to Africa. Some immigrated to Ghana, where a Pan-African leader was the first to gain independence from the crown. Some to Nigeria, where there was a blossoming of economic opportunity, and some, of course, to Ethiopia, where their god was king. Much of this episode was filmed in the town of Shashamane, Ethiopia. In the 1960s, with a trickle of immigrants arriving to praise his name, the emperor set aside a patch of land to keep his followers safe. Because despite their honest belief in the union of all black peoples, regular Ethiopians never quite took to Rastafarians. This has never been a country of racial unity. To locals watching them arrive, the Rastafarians were just another group of foreigners with a strange religion. To them, their emperor was not a god, and when he was deposed, the incoming dictatorship cracked down on those who imagined him to be. Today, despite having nearly 1 million members worldwide, less than a few hundred of them remain in the lands of their god.
Yeah, this world we actually passed through anytime we are doing an action video, there must be an answer.
HAILE Selassie was not Jesus, and he would have agreed. I think in Ethiopia, more people probably still remember him for his ethnic cleansing of the Harari than they do for his Pan-Africanism. History has not been kind to the causes supported by Marcus Garvey, nor has it been kind to...
Come on, bro. So he actually owns a book. Is those books written by him? Or like, oh my God, he actually owns a book.
The religious prophecies of those idealistic Jamaican preachers. His coronation didn't unite Africa. Babylon never fell. In fact, his rule would mark the fall of the entire Solomonic dynasty. Haile Selassie was the last emperor of Ethiopia. His rule marked not the beginning, but the end. But as I said at the start of this episode, I was never meant to believe in Rastafarianism. Its purpose was not to unite the world or find peace between races. Its missionaries were never intended to convert white college students who liked marijuana. It existed, and in many ways still exists, as a response to oppression, to slavery. But even more than that, it was a response to a struggling people whose God did not love them like he loved others. A savior whose face reflected a people, not their own. Religion gives people something to believe in, to hope for. But the moment that people can no longer see themselves reflected in their gods, they will change them. This is rare.
Yo, this is crazy. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. I don't have much to say. Let me hear from you guys from the comment section. Let me hear from you guys. Yo, try to be I don't know what to say in this because the dude is actually explaining history about is it called Rastafari? I don't know how he got all those ideas, all those history, but I'm pretty sure someone told him. Like, he can't just wake up in the morning and know all this history. Someone might say something to him. I don't know how he came up with this history of Rastafari or what. I don't have much to say, like I said. Let me hear from you guys in the comment section. So one thing I observe, I normally see Ethiopian and the Jamaican, like when you listen to Tendi Afro, some of his beats we are sounding like Jamaicans, you know. Some of Ethiopian artists, when I listen to them, I don't know, like some of you guys, I don't know if you observe this, when I listen to some of their beat, their music, it sounds like Jamaican a little bit. I think they they rate or something like that. I don't really understand, but to my own observation, I think they rate in one way or the other. Let me know from the comment section. Is the Rastafari, or I don't know what his name actually. I don't know how to call his name. Is he? I'm pretty sure he's a legend though, and I know he's an emperor in Ethiopian. But I think him like Nelson Mandela. You guys already know Nelson Mandela. He fought for South Africa. Let me know from you guys. Be positive in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the history of the Lost Safari. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. See you guys in the next video, and ignore all those voices in the background. They're my nephew making noise. Ignore those voices. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. For now,